Today, I'm talking to Shane Balkowitsch about his Greta Thunberg portrait. Join me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's good to see you again. Today, I'm going back in the archives, some stuff that I did in the past, close to 2 years ago now. It's crazy to think that. But 2 years ago, I got on the phone with Shane Balkowitsch. And if you don't know him, his website is down in the description. You can go check him out. He does wet plate collodion photography. I did some stuff with him over this past summer, 2021. Great guy. But back then, he was embroiled in a significant controversy about a portrait that he did of Greta Thunberg. And I talked to him about that. And I talked to him about a bunch of other things. And all those portions of the interview are going to be coming out in the coming weeks. I'm going to release them in bits because, I don't want to take up an hour and a half of somebody's time. I'm going to release them in nice little bits, 10, 12 minutes at a time. And I think you'll like it better that way. But one other thing before we get into that, he has a new book on sale, volume 2 of his Northern Plains Native Americans series. And that is linked right here. You can go to his website or Amazon and check it out. And with that, let's get to the interview from March of 2020 with Shane Balkowitsch.
Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm John. Eric's on the other side, and we are here with Mr. Shane Balkowitsch today. Shane, how you doing?
Hey, John and Eric. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. You have found yourself in a little bit of controversy recently, and that's what we have you on the show to discuss today.
Great. I appreciate that. I don't know if the little bit describes what my last 15 days, but yeah, it has been there's been an avalanche, and I'm honored to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit, a 30-second quick and dirty background for anybody that wants the full background on Shane and what he does. There will be links in the description of everything we do on the various platforms that this goes out on. But he started taking wet plate collodion photographs about 8 years ago, and then got involved taking photographs of Native Americans, documenting the history of Native Americans. That led to a good relationship with the Standing Rock tribe at the Standing Rock Reservation. And then that led to his ability to take a photograph saved forever now in the Library of Congress of our young Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. Now, did I recap that right?
Yes. My series is called Northern Plains Native Americans, a modern wet plate perspective. So the goal is to capture 1,000 Native Americans in this 165-year-old photographic process. I'm about 6 years in, and I'm at plate 395 as of today. So I've got about another 12 years or so to achieve that goal. And yes, it was the my friends, the Sioux Nation down in Standing Rock, that made Greta available to me. I made a simple call. I heard that Greta was coming into North Dakota. And right away, obviously, when's the next time she's going to be here, if she's ever going to be here again. So I was inundated with all these calls saying, Greta's coming, you have to get her portrait. Greta's coming, you have to get her portrait. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see what I can do about this. So I knew she was going to stay back. And it's that relationship with the tribe and the college down there, Steamboat College. Jen Jewett is a friend down there. She's been in my studio. I've captured her grandmother and so forth for the series, and herself as well. And I said, Jen, what's the chances of me getting Greta Thunberg in my studio? And because that's where I want to have her, right? I mean, you want to have control. You want to have the, all the equipment. You want to have your dark room, because this process requires a dark room to be on site. So, and they looked at the schedule and they said, Shane, there's no time. I mean, it's just a sliver of time that she's even here. So I said, well, what if I come to Standing Rock with my portable dark room and my chemicals and my camera? And if you can get me 15 minutes with her, I think we can make history. I waited, got a call some hours later and said, Shane, tomorrow you are going to get 15 minutes with Greta Thunberg. And that's when the odyssey began.
So they called you basically the day before and just said, "Hey, if you want to do this, you got to come down tomorrow." So you really didn't have any lead time to do that.
No, and it got a little bit more complicated than that on the day of the shoot. So, I mean, immediately they told me on Monday, and October 7th, I want to say. October 8th is when I took the portraits. Immediately I had to get my chemicals ready. I had to get everything into my vehicle. A portable darkroom is it's not the easiest thing to travel around with. So I had to get everything ready that night to go down there. And they said essentially the first time they said, you're going to get here at 4:00. So I'm saying, okay, 4:00, 15 minutes, which is a daunting task to take any kind of wet plate in 15 minutes, right? Let alone one of someone of, like Greta Thunberg. So I said, okay. I told my daughter, Abby, was going with me, and Chad Nodlin, the digital photographer for my studio, and it's because he captures all the behind the scenes image. I said, we're going to leave at 12:30, and we're going to get down there about an hour later. We're going to have like an hour and a half, 2 hours to find a location, to set up. And I had some extra plates. I'm going to take a test shot, because here when you're using natural light out in the middle of a field, exposure times are kind of tough. I mean, you'd like to have a test shot, right? I mean, you only get these one opportunities. And so at 12:30, we got in the car. At 12:35, I got a call from the people that were with Greta, and they said, we're moving you up to 2:00. Here I am, 12:35. I'm about an hour and 10 minutes away from Standing Rock. And that leaves me with all of 10 minutes to get my camera together. If I can get there in an hour and 10 minutes, get my camera up, my darkroom, all the chemicals ready, and capture this. So there was no scouting of location. There was no test shot of my daughter. I mean, the F8, 3 seconds of exposure that day, that was just a gut check. I was lucky enough. They came up to me. I introduced myself to her, and I said, I want to do something very important for you today. And she's just the sweetest young lady. And they said, we're really rushed for time. You only have time to do one portrait. And my heart just kind of sunk. It's like, how in the hell am I going to get this done with one portrait? Because I could blow the exposure. She could be overexposed, underexposed. I mean, I'm going to blow this thing, right? So it was a gut check moment. Poured the chemicals, explained the process to her really quickly. These long exposures, 3 seconds, that's a long time. So she sat there, and if you look at this romantically, and I tell this to the students when they come out from the colleges to my studio, is I wasn't taking a snapshot of Greta. I was actually taking a 3-second movie of her. So her heart was beating about 5 times. She maybe took a shallow breath. She had a heart, she had a thought in her head, and all of that is captured on the plate. And that's what I really romantically love about this process, is this idea that these are not just split moments of time, that this is actually, I have 6 seconds of Greta over the 2 plates captured in pure silver that will be here for hundreds of years. So we did the first portrait, and which I knew if I only had Greta for one shot, that I had to do a documentary piece, that I had to get a close up, frontal looking at her face. I wasn't going to get too artistic, right? I mean, if I only have one image. So we did the first plate, which I call Greta. And that plate, by the way, is at the Nordiska Museet in Sweden, her hometown. And then as the plate was coming in the fixer, I looked up at Savante, her father, and there were smiles. There's behind Chad captured these wonderful moments of everyone just smiling and everything as his first plate appeared. I looked up at Savante and I said, can I do one more? And he looked at me and he said, absolutely. So that's when I got the opportunity, which I should never have had. I was never promised the opportunity of a second plate. That gave me the opportunity to do Standing for Us All, which is more of my artistic interpretation of Greta standing in a field. And to kind of explain to you my composition thoughts is that I put Greta off to the side, and I wanted to give just as much space on the plate, just as much dignity on the plate to nature, which is essentially the Standing Rock Sioux Nation's land. So that's what the intent was there, that she's looking at nature, and half of the plate is nature and half of the plate is Greta.